Hey guys, in this video I'm going to talk a little bit about a post that shoe0nhead made regarding the end of her friendship with Lauren Southern, and why I think this amounts to nothing more than a public disavowal in the name of optics and personal reputation. As many of you are probably aware, I have made videos that were mildly critical of Shoe in the past, and the reaction from fans would have you thinking I kidnapped her rabbit, when in reality I merely pointed out where I thought her reasoning was faulty. So, strap yourselves in for what is sure to be another round of fun from overly sensitive hypocrites that can't handle the slightest bit of criticism aimed at their sacred cows. Now, I'm going to start off by reading the post that she made, and you're free to check it out as well, as it will be linked in the description below. So here we go. This hurt a lot to post, and I'll be taking a little break. Please send buns. Lauren and I haven't been in contact for some time. This happened naturally a while ago. We're both heading down very separate paths in life, and she's heading down a political path I cannot follow. This was always private, but I have to say something because I'm tired of being harassed about being her friend daily, and not knowing how to respond to people besides fuck off, and not wanting to throw an old friend under the bus for good girl points. It was an incredibly stressful and confusing year-long mental battle between wanting to tell people the truth and not needing to tell people the truth because it's none of their business. I am not making this post because I was pressured by people I never want to impress. The people who, no matter how many times I apologize for some edgy thing I did years ago, will never be enough. The people who want me to be a boogeyman no matter what, and want me to be an enemy. The people who have had me blocked since I was born. I'm making this because it's something I feel like I have to do. It feels like weight on my chest every time it's brought up. And it's now seeping into my real life, and it needs to end. I told her this post was eventually coming, and she understands. Friendships end sometimes, and it's normal. People change, and it's normal. I owed nobody this very personal public post, and that's what I've been telling people for a whole year, that I didn't owe them any information about my relationships, that I owe strangers nothing, because I don't, and I still don't, but the stress was overwhelming, and I need to get it out there in order to move on. To all the people who were constantly on my ass about this for months, and the really cool, awesome person who contacted someone in my immediate family, scaring them to death, you don't know what goes on behind the scenes in people's personal lives. You have no right to pry about personal relationships. If I do or say something you disagree with, by all means tell me, let's talk, but learn to drop the guilt by association. I talk to many people, some are not friends with each other, but they are my friends. Do not 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon any of these people with each other through me. Their opinions are their own, my opinions are my own. Please respect my agency going forward. Thank you. This post is hypocritical. She acknowledges that those who hate her are always going to find a reason to do so, but she claims not to care about what her critics that lump them together thought, and yet made a public disavowal mentioning politics. This is a letter of appeasement that simultaneously claimed not to be. If you truly believe that the people who need to be convinced aren't going to change their minds even after you do this, then there is no purpose in doing it. Making this public really just comes off as a way to say, I disavow this person's politics, so please stop thinking I agree. And look, if that's what you want, that's fine, but at least be honest about the fact that you're doing it. I agree she doesn't owe strangers anything. I agree that no one has a right to know anything about her personal relationships. But if that's how she truly feels, then she should stand by her words. I also find it strange that Lauren's politics are simply too much for her to follow, and yet she is friendly with people on the left that have less than desirable politics. I think a lot of this boils down to perception. She doesn't want to be perceived as someone who associates with people that are considered right-wing extremists because it's damaging to her brand. She may even disagree with her to the point of being ideologically incompatible, but at least have the guts to say so clearly and stand by it. This reminds me of those breakups where people pretend to end things amicably, just so they can put on a show and say to everyone else, we broke up, but we're still friends. Now, in regards to someone contacting a family member, if that actually happened, then of course it's wrong for that person to do that, but let's think about this critically. If someone is willing to go that far, do you really think a post on social media about how you ended your friendship is going to stop them? Of course not. I also find this to be the very same tactic of emotional manipulation used by the social justice-leaning people who often claim they're being harassed, sent threats, etc., with no actual evidence. If you require evidence to believe such claims, you should require it across the board. Don't be selective just because you enjoy someone's content on YouTube. Besides, if that is true, how about contact the authorities? If nothing illegal was actually done, then just act like an adult and handle it yourself. Mentioning it here is just one more way to get people to feel sorry for you and frame yourself as the victim. Shoe has since deleted her original post and is really laying the feel sorry for me shtick on thick, even though she's the one who made a mistake by publicizing this. If you're going to make your opinions public, people are free to criticize them as they see fit. Now, I've seen people defending Shoe, claiming that this is being blown out of proportion, that they're just haters, they want attention, or they just like drama. But this entire YouTube game is drama. The only difference is you don't like the so-called drama when it is critical of someone you enjoy listening to. None of these are arguments, and they're nothing more than an easy way to write off criticisms without actually having to address them. Take this post, for example. It's the basic bitch take of, "Don't let the haters get you down," and ignores the fact that Shoe is the one who mentioned politics in her post, so of course people are going to think it is an issue based on politics. If it wasn't, it wouldn't have been one of the first reasons she mentioned for them drifting apart. The mental gymnastics here are quite impressive, because this comes from the same crowd that usually says no one is above criticism, logic and reason are the pinnacle of human thought, and that people must be held to the same standards. Even more entertaining is the fact that the same people defending her mock the safe space crowd, and how they needed rooms with crayons, puppy videos, and blankets on college campuses, but somehow send bunny pictures to make me feel better, isn't the exact same logic. These are the people that usually mock the so-called SJWs relentlessly for ending friendships over politics, some of Shoe's e-celeb friends included, and yet for some reason it is okay when she does it, and let's be honest. The reason for that is irrational blind support for someone that is generally well-liked. If those are your standards, stop pretending to have principles where you call out everyone regardless of sides, and just admit that you have a bias. It might be stupid, but at the very least, you'd look a lot less of a hypocrite. This type of behavior seems to be a pattern with Shoe. She plays the nice person act, but doesn't stand for much of anything when put under pressure. Her actions demonstrate that she lacks a spine and caves to the pressures of appearances, rather than having a sense of conviction and standing by her principles. It reminds me of the Candid situation, where she was caught blocking out comments mentioning Candid, and the whole thing was just swept under the rug, never to be mentioned again, because popularity on the internet is a hell of a drug, and people will excuse what they would usually find inexcusable when it comes from someone they like. They'll convince themselves that somehow it's not the same, and resort to tribalism rather than adhering to their own self-proclaimed principles. Now, she did apologize for the post, but it seems more like an attempt to backpedal now that she was called out, rather than any kind of genuine effort to make things right. My basis for thinking that is because of the way the Candid situation was handled, where hiding the truth to save face became more important than genuinely owning up to an error in judgment. Here's a piece of advice. Regardless of whether or not you do something wrong, it is at least more respectable if you are honest about your actions. And if you truly don't think it's a situation that the public is privy to, then do yourself a favor and just keep it private. And remember, if you're going to criticize me, please be sure to leave a photo of a bunny with your comment so I don't get too sad. Thanks for listening.